We go into executive session.
We're going to go to
You want to go first?
yeah. All right. First item on our discussion agenda at this time is discussion pertaining to multi-use facility. And I'm not going to go into an executive session. I've talked with our counsel, legal counsel, and at this point, using ARPA funds for multiple use facility doesn't fit within the guidelines. We don't feel at this time. So, any comments, questions from commissioners?
I don't know.
I have a little bit different take on it. So the problem is in the ARPA guidelines it says stadiums, and stadiums are much different. This has been classified as stadium. This is not a stadium. This is a multi-use facility, and ARPA funds in multiple instances have been used for different things that create reserve surplus that can then be used for other things. So I would highly suggest that we continue to research and understand that before we make decisions.
I would agree with that. I think there's still a lot of unanswered questions and a lot of different levels with that. And I think it would also be good to have a little more time to study that and see what we can do or can't do. And if we can't, then that's fine.
I keep hearing this word perspective, and I think the biggest problem in county government, local government, is we don't get enough perspective on things before we make decisions. We use our own perspective, and we fail to understand what can fully be accomplished by maybe getting some outside input. And I would maybe also suggest that I know there are some other consultant legal type groups that you've been in contact with, Commissioner Huff. I would probably maybe reach out and touch base with them. The big thing it comes back to, I read the Journal's story today and a bunch of others, and I'm actually flabbergasted by the complete and absolute misunderstanding of a lot of this. When we start talking about doing things like this, we start talking about being the point that starts the fire that generates economic growth. The details of this project, are still in motion, but this was part of a project that would have been several $100 million worth of build out. And we just shot ourselves in the foot. And I think it's really indicative of our community that we are failing at an epic rate. I just went to a hockey game in Idaho Falls in a $65 million indoor stadium because they have the vision to actually move forward and do something. We are not competing with Idaho Falls or Twin Falls anymore. We're competing with Blackfoot and Rexburg. And very quickly, Pocatello is going to find all of the mom-and-pop businesses shuttered because we have lost economic ability to support them. And so if we do not start doing things like this, and the people, and I get so sick and tired of the flippin' don't spend my taxes. I pay more taxes than just about anybody. And what I'm going to do in my next career if I decide to stay in Pocatello, I will be one of the top taxpayers in this community. I am sick and tired of the very vocal minority ruining this community. That's what's happened. So I would highly suggest we continue research, continue our diligence, and really do something with those funds that will continue to want people to come here instead of the exodus, because otherwise it'll be just like from the 80s. Last one's out, shut off the lights. That's all I got.
Well, from a priority standpoint, and we've talked about this, said this on the record, the forensic pathology lab is #1 priority.
Yep.
McCammon and the ambulance bay down there, because that helps a huge issue that we have in South County. Those are big issues, and in recent conversations with the designer for the forensic pathology lab, that might be a little bit more expensive than we originally thought. And so I don't want to make a decision one way or the other until we kind of have a much better feel for where that's going, because that is priority #1 for me. So I say we still continue to look, and like we talked about a couple weeks ago, there's still some financing gap questions for the stadium. So whether we can or cannot still needs to be finalized, but as legal counsel's advised us at this point in time, it doesn't look promising. But I also agree with Commissioner Tubby that the competition that we face around us, you go back to the census data. The last census data showed that Bannock County had grown only 3% in the last 10 years. I was very disappointed in that. And if this is an opportunity to help change some of that, let's continue to look, and if not, then that's fine. But that's my job as a commissioner, is to look at all the opportunities that are presented to help our community. And that's what I ran on, is creating a place to come home to. Last year, Emma and I went and visited with all of the high schools, and all the kids in high school said, there's nothing to do here. We're going to leave. So we talked to them about, what do we need to do to get you to come back when that time comes? And they gave us a long list, and activities was one of those things. Now, some people may like baseball, some people may not. That's fine, but it's an option. And so I would agree with Commissioner Tubby that while it might be on life support, is the term I've used, it's not dead yet. We need to look at a couple more things before we're there. But again, the forensic pathology lab is priority number one.
Yep.
That's where I'm at.
Okay? And I can't argue with either one of you on the situation. Bannock County needs to grow and develop, and that's what, as long as we've talked about ARPA funds, that's when we start talking about the forensic pathologist. We've got supportive people in the state. We've got money from the legislature. It's a very positive thing. This deal, I know we got hit a lot by people saying that we weren't transparent. We're being very transparent because we can't make decisions without having a public meeting. So a couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, was the first time we've talked about this in a public meeting to let people know. And so we're not making decisions. We haven't made decisions ahead of time. That's why the conversation, I turned to our legal counsel and asked for advice, and we got the counsel. We'll follow that advice, and then we'll go ahead and, if other players want to come in and participate and help with this, I would love to see a multi-use facility up there. But at this time, there's no further discussion. There's no decision to make.
There is no decision.
Nope, not until we have more information.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and go to Behavioral Crisis Center. Wasn't sure who was coming today.
Yeah,
Matt's here.
had some illnesses and recovering from surgery, so it's me.
You're it, huh?
I'm it. But I bring great news, so. Matt Harden, Executive Director of the Southeast Idaho Behavioral Crisis Center, submitting our sustainability plan. We do this every year just to show where we're at and what we're looking at moving forward. This year, 2022 has been amazing when it comes to sustainability. We projected that we would be at 32% sustainability this year, and we actually reached 47.7% sustainability. So that's a 90% increase on what we thought we were going to be. We projected we're about 70% over what we projected we would be. In the report, it kind of explains we kind of stuck at what we've been doing. The only real, I think, big difference that I can mark this up to is COVID kind of lessening a little bit. People are out a little bit more. We're out doing more outreach. And we've just seen those numbers go up, which has been great. We know that there's more than 5 or 6 people in our community struggling, and so we're seeing those numbers go up. With Medicaid expansion, I've seen weeks almost as close to 90-95% Medicaid coverage, which is great. That's the biggest part of our sustainability plan, is billing that Medicaid piece. So that's all been great.
It's a phenomenal facility. And there's always the invitation for people to come and see what's going on there. And,
Absolutely.
Talk about something that's good that is coming to our community. And that's this facility. And like I say, I've talked to commissioners and stuff from other counties and stuff, and we're getting better, the word out better than we have in the past. And I think it's being used and utilized a whole lot better than what it was.
As we start talking on sustainability, one of the portions that comes into it is recapitalization efforts. You got to start planning for what do we do in 10 years or 5 years when stuff breaks or all that. have you guys been able, or how are we looking at that to prep for when we need to redo floor coverings, paint, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and with the Youth Crisis Center grant just came out, and their budget is about a 9% increase for inflation, which is something that we would like to see as we grow, right? If our numbers continue to get higher, it's not as easy as just doubling the amount of people we have in there, because with the level of staff that we do have, doubling the amount of people, we would need to increase the amount of workers, and so that cuts some of that funding in there as well. 5-10 years, no, I can't say that we've thought that far down the road quite yet. This jump here, I think changes our approach a little bit, and maybe we will look a little further down the road just because of this change in where we thought we would be versus where we're at currently.
Okay.
Of your population, what impacts are you seeing from the fentanyl issue that's in our county?
Yeah, what we saw initially was what I heard a lot from the community is a lot of fear for those in active addiction, a lot of fear of, it may be the drug that I typically use might be in there, and so there's a lot of fear. The big change that I've seen in the last 6 months, which is really worrying, is that now people are using that as the drug of choice, or they're seeking it out. They're no longer afraid of it, now they're seeking it out, it's pretty scary. And that's what we're seeing from the clients and what they're reporting to us. They are coming in and getting help, so that's always a positive when they're in the building. It's always a positive when they're in there. That's just the report that we're hearing, which is unfortunate.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
Any further questions?
No, I'm
for
good.
Matt?
I'm good.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you
to
for
see
your
you.
efforts.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all the good fun stuff. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hal?
Hal Jensen, Planning Director. I have with me drawings for signature for final plat on Limelight. Jesse, what's the name of this?
Limelight Estates.
Limelight Estates. All work has been completed and reviewed as completed and signed off, and we have before you for signature the final plat.
Have you taken a drive up there? Everything look good? Everything squared away?
I didn't see anything from the last time I was there. I was there, it would have been before Thanksgiving, so.
Cool.
There was an item that was outstanding. Mr. Ward was able to find a mailbox and installed the mailbox, so.
We need a mailbox.
And as nice as the development is, the fact that he found a used mailbox and installed it so that he could have signature on final plat until the actual good-looking, shiny mailbox comes in, kudos to him.
On Tuesday.
It's a nice development. It's a nice shot in the arm to Bannock County in regards to our development, and it's a development that I think Mr. Ward should be proud of, and those neighbors that have already had the opportunity to construct homes under a minor land division and now move to a subdivision. Anyway.
Mr. Chairman? Oh.
Mr. Chair, first, I just want to say Limelight is under judicial review, just to let the commission know. To my knowledge, there is no order from the court stopping it from going forward, though.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that the commission is informed.
Thank you.
Understanding that and knowing that while judicial review is done, judicial review, unless, as council has indicated, if there is not a temporary restraining order to stop that, we need to respect the private property rights of the owners and still move forward in that process without punishing somebody while we're waiting for a judicial action, if one ever does come. So with
Any comments, Commissioner Huff? Okay.
No.
Go ahead.
With that, Mr. Chairman, I would move to authorize signature of the chairman and approve the Limelight Estate subdivision for signature and acceptance.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And bubbles it.
Jason, when I'm finished, I can take this to your office, or no, across the street. Jesse, I'll give it to you, and you can take it across the street.
Yep.
Okay? Just the two? Great. This paper. I'm Ernie. I need you to hold this, please. Jason, here, and here.
I'll do that.
Resolution of. I'll put it back in the box.
Is what
I have to take the afternoon off. You want your pen? And real quickly, last item, just by way of general information, relative to the 6th Street vacation, I was able to gather enough information. I have written the easement from the county to the city for maintenance of utilities and access. It will be reviewed by Brian, then sent to the city surveyor for their review of the language. Then we will get it to the city. They will do their final resolution, record the easement, and we will have 6th Street formally vacated. Okay? Originally, I was going to ask for approximately $500 to $700 for surveyor services to just take care of it. But the way that the legal description was written originally for the first reading of the vacation with the city is acceptable. And so there's some other language that we're modifying, granting the city access across the property for utility easement, sanitation, and emergency response. Okay? And I'm done.
I'm excited.
I'm done.
Yep.
Brief, quick, short.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for getting me on the agenda to apprise you of that. Have a good day.
All right.
Thank you, Hal.
All right, next we have a signature on the resolution that was added. Motion on that.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we authorize signature on resolution number 2022-85.
Motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have commissioners' proceedings for October 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the proceedings as presented.
Motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then we have certificate for minutes on November 22nd, 29th, December 1st, and December 2nd.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now we have a signature of a notice on an action letter.
Sorry.
I can turn that into a J.
Turn that into J. I just looked at your signature when you did it.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve signature on the notice of action letter.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, Chantel.
Good morning, Commissioner. Chantel Laulu with Indigent Services. We do have one item of business that will require an executive session this morning.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we go into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061D to consider records exempt from public disclosure.
Commissioner Tubby?
Yes.
Commissioner Moser?
Yes.
Commissioner Huff?